Thompson.
Chairman, thank you so much for this this hearing. To me, I've heard the word poverty mentioned a lot, and I'd be hard pressed to. I don't think there's anyone on either side of the aisle isn't concerned about that issue, isn't concerned about providing opportunities for greater opportunity, for success, for realizing the American dream, which really is greater opportunity. But the pathway to greater opportunity and out of poverty is not an arbitrary executive branch dictate. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. Those cookie cutters rarely work. They usually wind up with unintended consequences that make matters worse for people, and that's what we're trying to defend and push back on here. To me, rather, it's really looking at a pathway out of those situations. Pathway for Soledad, mother of four that I just heard about, and I've met lots of those folks just like that around my congressional district. They need a pathway. They need something like, quite frankly, shamelessly plug it, career and technical education training. And with the chairman's support, I think everybody in this committee is going to have an opportunity to talk more about that in the days to come here. Hopefully, before we leave, before that third week in July. And so, my first question is for Ms. Sharby, Tina. Just this past weekend, I had the privilege of speaking at the closing ceremony of the Pennsylvania Special Olympics Games, 2016 Games, which is, I love organizations like yours, like Special Olympics. I'm a longtime scouter, so I look at the hours, the evening hours, the weekends. I've been involved doing my part as a volunteer. I know how important it is to fund the mission, and I look at the good that is done, which is amazing with those resources. And I look at the quality of individuals. Last week I was at a Goodwill facility up in Erie County, and I look at the job training that goes on there. And so my question for you is, first of all, thank you for your tremendous work you do as a part of the nonprofit community. And organizations like yours, and I've mentioned some of those, Easter Seals, Special Olympics, Goodwills, the Boy Scouts of America, Girl Scouts, they help boost the quality of life for so many people and families every year. And as legislators, we should be working tirelessly to support your mission, not making it harder for you to succeed. Given the widespread presence of Easter Seals across the United States, and as a former rehab professional, I worked very closely with Easter Seals when I had a real job, is the way I like to describe it. How will the final overtime rule affect the ability of individuals to access crucial services, specifically in rural and underserved areas?
Thank you for the question. It's a really good question. I can give you the example of our care coordinators in our military and veteran services programs. The individuals that we serve work very closely with the care coordinators, and they develop a relationship where trust does not come very easily amongst that population that we serve. So we're looking at potentially having to develop an on-call system where only 1 of 8 of our coordinators would be on call for the week, because we cannot afford to pay the overtime. It's a non-funded program that we run. The concern that we have about that is now the person who needs the emergency help, maybe in the middle of the night, losing their home or thinking about suicide, they're going to call that on-call person who might not be their care coordinator. They're not going to want to talk to them. They want to talk to their care coordinator. That's where we think that the services are really going to impact the individuals that we serve.
How important is that at a time of crisis? Because that's what you've described.
Huge.
And you could cross that over to agencies, nonprofits that are facing manning suicide hotlines and services, children and youth. How important is it to get have the right person available at that time of crisis when people actually reach out?
It's literally the difference between life and death.
I don't think an arbitrary executive, it'd be a shame to see those loss of lives as a result of some executive branch action.